Hey everybody. I have so many topics to talk about. I haven't done a video in a minute. God, I've just been exhausted lately. Insomnia is such a bitch. I hate it so much. I'm just so tired, but I can't fall asleep. Anyway, but I am back today. Having lots of sessions. This week is a really busy week for me. Which it seems like, I guess I go in and out, like I'll have a really busy week and then not so much, which I appreciate because it gives me time to do writing and whatnots. But I wanted to talk about, I have so many little note cards. Y'all should see my desk. This is ridiculous. I wanted to talk about healing from a child perspective, and specifically about when you're going through your healing process. There's going to be times when you're reflecting on your childhood and there's going to be some not so nice feelings about having been disappointed or let down or abandoned by your parents. And a lot of people have difficulty in this area because they don't want to see their parents as having hurt them in any way. There's this expectation that if you blame your parents for anything that you experienced that had negative effects, that you are saying that they're a bad person or they were terrible parents or they're terrible people, or any kind of messages that could come up from that, just about their worthiness as human beings. And I just want to say that in this process of healing, there is a time that you are going to need to feel your anger at your parents. It does not mean you don't love them. I think this is what the barrier is sometimes. But in the process of healing, this is a process of grieving. When you are healing, you are grieving. It is one and the same. Because what's happening is you are reviewing your life from the perspective of, this is what happened. And this is the damage that it caused. And you're having these heart feelings of sadness over it. And on the other side of that, which probably isn't as obvious, is you're grieving for the version of you that you will never know had that not happened. And that's deep. And because you can't go back in time. We can't go back and undo the abandonment we felt. You know, if you had a parent leave physically, like literally abandon the family, or emotionally, like just not being present, not being capable or having the ability to hold you in an emotionally safe way. And that is also a type of abandonment. So if you've had that happen, and I mean, fill in the blank with any kind of trauma that you're healing from your childhood. But what happens is, you begin to kind of do the initial work of recognizing that that's what happened. And then on top of that, the feelings that you have because of that and the impact it made on your adult life because of that. And that's kind of the area of healing that most people recognize with doing the work in healing childhood trauma. But underneath that, I'm just going to come back around to it. There is a grieving, a sense of, I lost out. I could have experienced a number of different things in my life had that not happened. If that hadn't happened, would I believe in myself more? Would I have better relationships? Would I not struggle with codependency? Would I, not struggle with addiction or self-harm or whatever? And that is grieving. And in that, a step of grieving, as we all know, is anger. It is healthy to feel anger at your caregivers who dropped the ball. And that's really all it was. But I caution clients about skipping over that to get to the, well, I'm okay now and it all worked out and it's fine. When you don't go through the anger phase of grieving, when you're doing your childhood trauma healing, you're short-circuiting that process. It is necessary. It does not mean you hate your parents. It means that you are taking care of that little part of you, the little person, the child part of you that didn't get what they needed from their parents. That's what it means. It means that you're not telling them to shut up anymore. You're not dismissing their hurt feelings anymore. It's you, the adult, coming to the rescue of that inner child and saying, God, that was terrible. They really messed up on that one. And I'm so sorry you experienced that. You never should have experienced that. I'm going to take you out of that, and you're going to live with me in my heart, and I will take care of you. When you rescue a child part that has been abused, abandoned, victimized by a caregiver in any sort of capacity, or not a caregiver, just, in childhood, when you go back and do the internal work of the inner child work of rescuing the child part and you taking up for them, they stop looking outside of themselves for that corrective action. It's interesting because if you allow yourself to be angry at your parents for fucking up, you stop being engaged in that dynamic with them in which you're trying to pull something from them. I don't know if this makes any sense at all. But if there is unresolved parent-child issues, even if it happened way back in the past, presently you will continue to engage with that parent in a very passive-aggressive way sometimes. It's like interpreting their silence or their moods or their words in a very hurtful way, which it might be, but and it's like a constant pulling from them because you need them, you want them to show up differently, and in there is anger. So when you don't recognize the anger, it actually explodes more. It actually becomes more activated because that child part of you is trying to heal. And what the child is recognizing is, I needed mom to show up this way. I needed dad to come through for me in this way. I needed safety and love, and I needed to know I was worthwhile. And if you didn't get that when you were little, you will forever be trying to pull that from them. You will be trying to make them pleased with you, impress them, take care of them emotionally. It's kind of an energy of running after them and pulling them. What's really happening is the inner child is the one that needs healing. That's not you, the adult, that's coming forward in those relationships in order to make something right. It's the inner child in you, the little 5-year-old, the little 8-year-old, the 12-year-old that didn't think they were worthy, that had low self-esteem, that was just needing something from their parent, or that got left, emotionally abandoned, physically abandoned, needing to be comforted. And so the little child inside is the one that pops up even as you are a full grown adult in engaging with that person, because you're trying to fill a need. And the hard part about this work is working with those parts to let them know they will never get that from them. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to sit with that child part that's within you as they are wailing and just reaching out for comfort from a parent or a caregiver that was incapable of giving them that. And unless they've done significant work, still are. But the good news is you can. You, the adult, can intercede in this dynamic, and you can go in and do the internal work. You can talk to that child part. You can hug that child part. That child part needs comfort and nurturing, but the thing is, they're not going to get it from that person. They never did. And you have to grieve for it. You have to be sad. You have to be angry. You have to go through all of those stages, the bargaining. Like, well, if I, you're in the bargaining phase when the thought starts, or if I could have, or I should have, or if only. Like, those sentences are a big indicator that you're in bargaining. So, my advice here is pay attention to your inner child. When you start to feed into some sort of dynamic with your parent in order to gain love or acceptance, that is a child part that's coming forward that needed that from them at that time. And step in to, even in your mind, this, I think sometimes people get confused about what this actually looks like. It doesn't look like anything on the outside. It's just all internal. In your mind, picture that little child coming forward. Picture being with that child, that version of you, and give them a hug and be with them and talk to them and let them talk to you. Because there is, a lot probably that they need to say that they've never said. It was never honored. They were encouraged to keep quiet, shut up, shut all of that down because the parents could not handle it or didn't know how to handle it. It is okay to be angry about that, and it's okay to be angry at them, and it is necessary. When you go back in and you rescue those little parts, and they stop becoming needy on them to show up in a different way. And side note, you as an adult stop needing people to show up in any kind of way too, because you are giving yourself the message, I will show up for you. I've got me. I can take care of myself. I can take care of you. You, the adult version, is having a conversation with the little injured child version, and you're looking them in the eye and saying, I'm so sorry that happened to you. They weren't able to do what they needed to do. They really messed up on this one. I'm sorry that you ever felt that way, but I'm here for you now. I've got you. I'm going to take care of you. And once that relationship develops and they begin to trust you, it is like magic. You stop needing anybody else to show up in any kind of way. You don't need your dad to give you approval. You can see them from a heart space and recognize that, oh, they had some injuries too. That sucks for them. You can see, your mom who maybe her emotions weren't validated whenever she was little. And so she can't validate your emotions. She never could as a child. And then you're able to see that. You're able to have compassion for them because you don't need them to be different. So the point of all this is, if you're going through your healing journey and you are doing some really deep, hard work about healing your childhood, it is absolutely okay and it is needed for you to be angry at your parents. It does not mean you don't respect them, doesn't mean you don't love them, doesn't mean anything. It means that you are taking care of yourself, and it is a necessary part of grieving. And you have to do it in order to get to the other side of that, so that you can have compassion for them. You can see them for what they are able to give, and you will be appreciative of what they can give, instead of wanting them to be different and wanting them to give you more and never being satisfied and being angry. Because the truth is, you're going to be angry. You're already angry. You know what I'm saying? You're already like, why do they keep treating me like this? Like, why do we keep going round and round with this? Why can't they just whatever? Again, that's a grieving process. You're letting go of them as you wish them to be, to have been. But the thing is, when you do your internal child work, you don't need them to be anything anymore. They get to be who they are, in all of their faults and in all of their really great aspects too. But when you're angry and you don't know you're angry, and you're not allowing yourself to be angry, you're telling yourself to shut up and to just move forward, you're not able to appreciate them. I don't know. I hope this is making sense. I barely make sense to myself whenever I'm recording these videos. I'm much better in writing, to be honest. I don't, unless I'm talking to someone, which I am toying with the idea of like doing live sessions. I don't know if I'm going to have any takers though. I floated this idea out to someone and they were just like, no. But I'm like, wouldn't it be great though if we could just have like, and I would do it for free. So if there are any takers out there that would be up for doing some of this inner child work on video, you wouldn't have to pay for it. And it could be cleaned up, and obviously you would see the video before it got posted. But I really do think that it would help people understand what this work is like. Because another thing, and I am going to do another video about this, I think people don't know what therapy is like. And I think it really scares people. So I'm going to do a video about starting therapy, what to expect, how to find a therapist, what are some common pitfalls, and the type of mental health professionals. Anyway, this is going really long. Yeah. So it's okay to be angry. You need to be angry at your parents for dropping the ball. Doesn't mean you don't love them. Doesn't mean they're not beautiful, wonderful people. It means that you're taking up for yourself finally, and that has to happen because you're grieving a childhood that you didn't get. After you grieve and after you sit with your own anger and you take care of the little child inside and you take their side for once instead of telling them to shut up, and in that taking the parent side of it, you will be able to release it. And then you can see your parents for the beautiful human beings that they are. And you can be grateful for what they can give. And you can be forgiving and compassionate for what they couldn't. All right. So that's it. I hope you're all having a very beautiful Thursday. Much love to all of you. And I'll see you later. Bye.